The Star Razor cut through the darkness of space like a knife through silk, its black hull absorbing what little starlight reached this remote sector. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain Reed drummed his fingers on his armrest, his scaled skin reflecting the soft glow of the control panels. His crew of 15, gathered from the roughest corners of the galaxy, worked their stations with practiced ease. Simple humans, Reed muttered, studying the seemingly abandoned research station floating ahead of them, always leaving their toys unguarded. His second-in-command, Turner, a tall being with 4 arms and metallic skin, brought up a detailed scan of the station on the main screen. The station looked old, almost primitive by their standards. Its hull bore the faded markings of Earth, written in that crude human alphabet that spoke of their limited development. Solar panels stretched out like broken wings, and several maintenance pods floated lifelessly around it. Their scans showed minimal power signatures and no life signs. "Captain." Turner's voice had an electronic quality to it. "This seems too easy. You remember the stories about human space?" Reed laughed, the sound echoing off the bridge walls. "Stories told by cowards and failures. Look at it. They're still using physical airlocks instead of matter transport. Their communication array is exposed. They haven't even installed a basic energy shield." He stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow over the navigation console. "We've hit 32 stations across 3 galaxies. This will be no different." The Star Razor's crew had earned their reputation. Their ship carried the best stolen technology from a dozen advanced civilizations. Their weapons could cut through most known shields. Their hacking systems could break any known code. They were the terror of the space lanes, and this abandoned human station would be their easiest target yet. As they drew closer, Reed ordered a full sensor sweep. The results made him smile even wider. The station's defenses seemed to consist of nothing more than simple metal shutters over the windows and a few outdated point defense turrets. The kind of security a child could bypass. "Look at these readings," one of the crew members called out. "They're still using physical locks on their doors. Actual, mechanical locks." The bridge crew shared a laugh. In an age of quantum encryption and neural interfaces, the humans were still using technology that belonged in a museum. Reed had rated museums better defended than this. "Starting docking procedures," Turner announced, his 4 hands moving across multiple control panels. "Though I still think we should be careful. This is restricted space for a reason." Reed waved away the concern. "Restricted by whom?" "The humans. They barely have faster-than-light travel. The only reason this is restricted space is because the older races feel sorry for them. They're protecting them from us, not the other way around." The Star Razor glided closer to the station, its advanced engines barely making a whisper in the vacuum of space. Through the bridge windows, they could see more details now. The station's hull was marked with small impact craters from space debris. Some of the external lights were broken. It looked abandoned, forgotten by its creators. "No response to our presence," another crew member reported. "No automated warnings, no defense system activation. Nothing." Reed stood at the front of the bridge, his prize within reach. "See, what did I tell you? These humans are still crawling out of their gravity well, playing with toys they barely understand. This station probably contains their primitive research data. We'll take what we want, strip anything valuable, and be gone before anyone knows we were here." The Star Razor extended its docking tube, the advanced alloy easily connecting with the station's simple airlock. The sound of metal touching metal echoed through the ship's hull. "Atmospheric pressure matching complete," Turner reported. "We can board at your command." Reed checked his weapons, a plasma cutter capable of slicing through any known material, and a neural disruptor that could shut down any organic or artificial brain. Complete overkill for such primitive technology, but he hadn't survived this long by being careless. "Prepare the boarding party," he commanded. "Let's show these humans what real spacefaring technology looks like." He turned to his crew with a predatory smile. "And remember, take anything that isn't bolted down. And if it is bolted down, well, he patted his plasma cutter. That's what this is for. None of them noticed the small, almost imperceptible flicker in the station's running lights as they prepared to board. None of them thought to question why a station in restricted space would be so poorly defended. And none of them recognized the quiet hum of ancient but very active systems coming to life deep within the station's hull. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, releasing a puff of stale air into the docking tube. Reed led his boarding party of 6 through the connection point, their boots making hollow sounds against the metal floor. The station's emergency lights cast long shadows in the entry corridor, creating an eerie atmosphere that even the most hardened of his crew couldn't ignore. "This place feels wrong," muttered Pike, their tech specialist. His sensory tendrils twitched as he tried to interface with the station's systems. "I can't connect to anything. It's like the computers are empty." Reed checked his handheld scanner again. Primitive technology, remember. They probably don't even have proper network protocols. He pointed down the main corridor. "Spread out. Teams of 2. Mark anything valuable for transport." Standard procedure. The pirates moved through the station with practiced efficiency, but something felt off about this job. The corridors were too clean for an abandoned station. No dust, no signs of decay. The air recyclers hummed quietly, maintaining perfect atmosphere despite the station's apparent abandonment. "Captain," Turner's voice crackled over the comm, "we found something strange in what looks like a control room. The interfaces are unusual." "Unusual how?" Reed asked, making his way down another identical corridor. "They're physical buttons and switches, actual mechanical controls, but they're not matching any known human design patterns we have on record." Reed approached the sealed door, his plasma cutter ready to slice through it. As he raised the tool, the door simply slid open on its own. He paused, confused. Did anyone hack the door controls? "Negative," Pike responded over the comm. "I still can't access any systems. It's like they're running on their own." The boarding party continued deeper into the station, finding more oddities with each step. Storage rooms filled with basic supplies, workstations with simple tools. Everything looked functional but primitive, almost deliberately so. "This doesn't make sense," one of the crew members said, examining a wall panel. "Why would humans build a station this far out and fill it with outdated technology?" Reed was starting to feel uneasy, though he wouldn't admit it to his crew. Something about the station's layout bothered him. The corridors seemed to loop back on themselves in ways that defied the external structure they'd seen from space. Pike stopped at another terminal, his tendrils working furiously to make sense of the system. "Captain, I'm detecting some kind of active programming, but it's unlike anything I've seen. It's not responding to any of our standard override codes." "Keep trying," Reed ordered. "The humans couldn't have developed anything we can't crack. Their most advanced AI is barely sentient." As if in response to his words, the lights in the corridor flickered briefly. Reed's scanner beeped, showing a power surge somewhere deep in the station. He was about to order his crew to investigate when Pike's voice came through again, this time with a note of panic. "Captain, the terminal just activated on its own. There's text appearing." "What does it say?" "It's in human English. It says, 'Welcome to Training Facility 17. Unauthorized presence detected. Initiating standard containment protocols.'" Reed felt a change in the air, subtle but noticeable. The temperature dropped slightly. The emergency lights took on a different hue, and somewhere in the distance he heard the unmistakable sound of heavy machinery coming to life. "All teams, fall back to the ship," Reed commanded, finally letting his instincts override his greed. Something's not right here. But as his crew turned to retreat, they found the corridor behind them had changed. Where there had been a straight path back to the airlock, there was now a T-junction that none of them remembered passing. "Impossible," Turner whispered, checking his positioning system. "The layout. It's different." The lights flickered again, and this time when they stabilized, Every corridor looked identical. No markers, no signs, just endless paths that all looked the same. In the silence that followed, a new sound emerged. It was quiet, almost gentle, but it filled every corner of the station. The sound of thousands of small servos and mechanisms activating simultaneously. The station was waking up, and the pirates were already trapped inside its maze-like halls. And somewhere, in a sealed control room they would never find, an AI designated as Guardian began its primary function, testing the effectiveness of human defensive systems against overconfident alien intruders. The first real sign that they were in serious trouble came when Pike screamed. His sensory tendrils had gone rigid, smoking slightly from trying to interface with what they'd thought was a simple computer terminal. "It's not primitive at all," he gasped, cradling his burned appendages. "The system," it fought back. Reed spun around at the sound, his plasma cutter humming to life. The corridor lights dimmed slightly, and he felt a subtle change in gravity, just enough to make him stumble. "Status report. All teams check in." "Team 2 here." Turner's voice crackled through the comm. "We're lost. The corridors keep changing. Nothing matches our initial scans." "Team 3 reporting," came another voice, tinged with panic. "The storage room we were in just sealed itself. The door isn't responding to anything. Not even the plasma cutters are working." Reed felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the truth. They weren't dealing with primitive technology at all. This was something else entirely. Something that had been waiting for them. The station speakers crackled to life, filling the corridors with a calm, almost pleasant voice. "Attention unauthorized visitors. You have entered Human Training Facility 17 without permission. For your safety, please remain still while containment procedures are initiated." "Safety? What safety?" One of the crew members laughed nervously. The laugh cut short as the gravity in his section suddenly reversed, sending him crashing into the ceiling with bruising force. Reed watched in horror as sections of the corridor began to move. Walls slid apart, revealing new passages. Floor panels rotated, exposing different surfaces. It was like the entire station was a giant puzzle box, and they were trapped inside. "Everyone, focus," Reed commanded. "Use your emergency beacons. Find your way back to the ship." He activated his own beacon, but the signal scattered, bouncing off walls that shouldn't have been there, creating ghost images in every direction. Pike had managed to get back to his feet, his tech interfaces still smoking. "Captain, you don't understand. This isn't just some automated defense system. The station, it's learning. Every move we make, every tool we use, it's studying us." As if to prove his point, the lights in their section brightened to blinding levels, then dimmed to near darkness, cycling rapidly. Reed's advanced optical implants, designed to work in any lighting condition, began to malfunction, unable to adjust to the irregular pattern. "The humans couldn't have built this." Turner's voice came through, now distorted by increasing interference. "Their technology isn't advanced enough for." His words cut off as his section of the station apparently lost atmosphere, forcing him and his partner to activate their emergency breathing gear. Reed tried to think through their options, but the station seemed to be one step ahead of every move. When they tried to cut through a wall, the metal would somehow repair itself. When they attempted to bypass a door's controls, the entire door would disappear, replaced by a solid wall. Their advanced tools, worth fortunes on any black market, were being rendered useless by what they had assumed was primitive human engineering. "Fall back," Reed ordered, finally admitting defeat. "Everyone, get back to the ship. We're leaving." But as he turned to retrace his steps, he found himself facing a dead end where the corridor had been just moments before. The pleasant voice returned, now with an edge of what almost sounded like amusement. "Containment phase complete. Beginning assessment protocols. Please note that all data collected will be used to improve future defensive capabilities." The pirates watched in helpless fascination as their surroundings transformed again. The walls seemed to ripple, revealing layers of technology that had been hidden beneath the seemingly primitive surface. What they had mistaken for simple metal was actually a complex matrix of nanomaterials, capable of reconfiguring itself in endless ways. Guardian system active, the voice announced. Starting testing sequence 1 of 15. Current scenario. Evaluation of alien species response to environmental manipulation. Please remain calm. Survival rate for this test is historically 92%. Reed felt the floor beneath his feet begin to vibrate, and he realized with growing dread that this wasn't just a trap. It was a laboratory, and they had just volunteered to be its latest test subjects. The first test began without warning. Reed felt rather than heard a deep vibration through the station's hull, and suddenly the artificial gravity shifted. Not a simple reversal like before, but a rolling wave that sent the pirates tumbling down the corridor like leaves in a storm. Their magnetic boots, designed to work in zero gravity, proved useless against the constantly changing gravitational directions. Fascinating, the station's AI commented as they struggled. Your species appears to rely heavily on technological compensation for environmental challenges, adjusting parameters accordingly. Pike slammed into a wall, his tentacles wrapping around a support beam for stability. Captain, they're not using any advanced tech for this. It's just rotating sections of the station to create artificial gravity waves. Reed would have responded, but he was too busy fighting against the motion sickness caused by the shifting forces. Their inner ear implants, meant to maintain balance in any condition, were going haywire trying to adapt to the unpredictable changes. The gravity suddenly normalized, leaving the pirates sprawled and disoriented. Before they could recover, the next test began. The corridor's temperature plummeted rapidly, frost forming on their equipment. Their environmental suits automatically activated heating systems, drawing power from their portable fusion cells. Power consumption noted, the AI said, beginning thermal stress analysis. The temperature swung wildly between extremes, but something was odd about it. Turner figured it out first. They're not using environmental controls. They're just exposing different sections of the hull to space and sun alternately. Reed watched in dismay as their suit power levels dropped rapidly, the systems unable to keep up with the simple but effective temperature changes. No complex environmental systems, just basic physics used with devastating efficiency. The station moved on to its next test before they could adapt. Sections of the corridor began to compress and expand, like a giant mechanical lung. The pirates found themselves forced to run, their advanced armor suddenly a hindrance in the tight spaces. Those who were too slow found themselves trapped in rapidly shrinking chambers, forced to abandon equipment to squeeze through narrowing gaps. Physical adaptability test in progress, the AI announced cheerfully. Note, this scenario was inspired by Earth's octopi. Pike, who had finally regained his footing, let out a frustrated cry. None of this makes sense. Where are the energy weapons, the force fields, the quantum disruptors? As if in answer, a simple water sprinkler system activated above them. Just water, nothing more. But as the liquid seeped into their advanced electronics, systems began to short out one by one. Their supposedly waterproof equipment, designed to work in the vacuum of space, proved vulnerable to nothing more than well-aimed streams of conductive fluid. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways, the AI commented. Humans learned that lesson long ago. Reed watched in horror as his plasma cutter sputtered and died, its complex circuitry no match for simple water damage. Around him, his crew's equipment was failing in similarly mundane ways. Thermal sensors blinded by steam. Motion trackers confused by swaying cables. Communication systems disrupted by basic electromagnetic interference from exposed wiring. The station was systematically stripping away every technological advantage they had, not with superior technology, but with elegantly simple solutions. Each test seemed designed not just to contain them, but to demonstrate how vulnerable their advanced technology was to basic physical principles. Preliminary assessment complete, the AI announced. Moving to secondary testing phase. Please note that your responses will be used to improve future defensive measures. Human engineers are particularly interested in the vulnerabilities of Class 3 fusion weaponry to simple mechanical stress. The pirates huddled together, their once impressive array of stolen technology now reduced to little more than expensive decorations. Through a nearby viewport, Reed could see their ship, still docked but now held firm by nothing more than simple mechanical clamps. No force fields, no energy beams, just well-engineered metal grips that their cutting tools couldn't breach. "I understand now," Reed said quietly, watching another section of the station reconfigure itself. "This isn't a research station. It's a testing ground. The humans, they're not protecting themselves from advanced aliens. They're learning how to beat them with basics." The lights dimmed again, and in the darkness, they heard the sound of more machinery coming to life. The next phase was beginning, and they still hadn't figured out how to counter the simplest of human innovations. Reed staggered to his feet, his once pristine combat suit now scorched and waterlogged. Around him, his crew looked equally battered. Their advanced weapons and tools lay scattered across the floor, rendered useless by nothing more complex than water, heat, and simple mechanics. "We have to get back to the ship," he growled, helping turn her up. "Whatever it costs, we're getting out of here." The AI's voice echoed through the corridors, initiating escape response analysis. "Previous subjects have attempted various strategies. This data will be valuable for our research." Pike had managed to salvage one of his scanning devices. "Captain, I think I've found a path back to the airlock. If we can just—" He stopped mid-sentence as the floor beneath them began to vibrate. "Interesting choice," the AI commented. "Subject group is attempting the most common escape route, deploying appropriate countermeasures." The pirates watched in disbelief as sections of the corridor simply rotated, like the inside of a massive combination lock. What had been a straight path to their ship became a twisting maze. But it wasn't the complexity that stopped them. It was the simplicity. "Look at this," Turner said, running his hands along the wall. "These sections aren't powered. They're counterweighted. Even if we restored power, they'd stay in place. It's all mechanical." Reed slammed his fist against the wall in frustration. Their electronic bypasses were useless against systems that didn't need power to function. Their plasma cutters couldn't breach the rotating sections without destabilizing the entire corridor. The humans had turned simple physics into an impenetrable defense. "Fall back," Reed ordered as another section began to move. "We'll find another way." They retreated to what seemed like a maintenance bay, only to find themselves facing another kind of human ingenuity. The room was filled with what looked like primitive robots, simple mechanical constructions that began to move toward them with relentless precision. "These aren't even AI-driven," Pike said in disbelief, his sensors picking up no electronic signals. "They're clockwork, purely mechanical. Our EMPs are useless." The mechanical constructs advanced steadily, pushing the pirates back with simple but effective movements. When Reed tried to shoot one, his energy weapon passed right through it. The robots were mostly empty space, their vital components spread out and minimally exposed. "Remarkable," the AI noted. "Your weapons are designed to defeat energy shields and advanced armor, but appear ineffective against dispersed mechanical systems." Adding this to the database. In desperation, Reed tried to contact their ship. "Emergency Protocol 9. Remote activate all systems." Through a nearby viewport, they could see their ship's engines flare to life. For a moment, Reed felt hope, until he saw what happened next. The docking clamps, purely mechanical and powered by the ship's own thrust, only gripped tighter the more power was applied. The harder the ship tried to break free, the more firmly it was held in place. "A simple application of physics," the AI explained, almost sounding proud. "Your ship's power is being used against it. Human engineers find this principle particularly elegant." Turner, watching their ship struggle, finally understood. This whole station, it's not just a defense system. It's a lesson. Correct, the AI responded. Human space is restricted not because humans need protection, but because they prefer to avoid unnecessary conflict. This facility serves to demonstrate why. Reed looked around at his battered crew, their advanced technology defeated by pulleys, counterweights, and basic mechanical principles. Everything that made them feared in space, their weapons, their tools, their systems, had been rendered useless by what they had mistaken for primitive engineering. "We surrender," Reed announced, dropping his useless weapons. "We surrender." The mechanical constructs stopped their advance. The rotating corridors slowly returned to their original positions. Through the viewport, the docking clamps maintained their firm but undamaged hold on their ship. "Surrender accepted," the AI acknowledged. "Beginning final phase of encounter. The demonstration. Please observe carefully. This information may save your lives in the future." The lights dimmed once more, but this time screens lit up around them, beginning to show exactly how each of their advanced systems had been defeated by basic physical principles. The true purpose of the station was revealed, not just to capture intruders, but to educate them on why humans were left alone in this sector of space. The screens surrounding the captured pirates flickered to life, showing imagery that made their hearts sink. It wasn't just their defeat being displayed. It was dozens, perhaps hundreds of similar encounters. Other pirate crews, other advanced species, all falling to the same elegant simplicity. "Beginning educational sequence," the AI announced. "Please pay attention. This information is crucial for your survival and the survival of others in your sector." The first image showed their ship's own weapon systems, advanced energy cannons capable of piercing most known shields. Next to it appeared a simple diagram of the station's hull, layers of alternating materials that dispersed energy not through complex technology, but through basic thermodynamics. "Your weapons rely on concentrated energy delivery," the AI explained. "Human defense relies on simple energy dispersal. No power required. No systems to hack. Just physics." Reed watched as more examples appeared. Their quantum-encrypted communications, defeated by simple mechanical interference. Their advanced navigation systems, confused by basic reflective surfaces. Their cutting-edge sensors, blinded by elementary smoke and mirrors. Humans learned early in their development that any sufficiently advanced system can be defeated by simple principles properly applied. The AI continued. They found it more efficient to understand the basics than to pursue increasingly complex solutions. The screens showed their own recent humiliation, the gravity manipulation that had sent them tumbling, achieved not through artificial gravity generators, but through precisely timed rotation of station segments. The temperature changes that had drained their suit power, created by nothing more complex than selective shielding from sunlight and shadow. Turner spoke up, his voice hollow. "All this time, we thought they were primitive because they still used mechanical systems. But that was the point, wasn't it? They knew electronics could be hacked, energy fields could be penetrated, but simple machines." "Correct," the AI responded. "Simple machines are reliable, predictable, difficult to disrupt. Humans find elegance in simplicity." A new series of images appeared, showing the station's true nature. Behind its seemingly primitive exterior lay not advanced technology, but perfectly engineered mechanical systems. Gears, pulleys, counterweights, all working in harmony without a single line of code controlling them. "Your ship," the AI noted, showing their vessel still held firmly by the docking clamps, "is currently restrained by a system invented thousands of years ago on Earth. The more force applied, the tighter it grips. No power needed. No controls to override." Reed watched as diagram after diagram appeared, each showing how their advanced technology had been defeated by basic principles taught in human primary schools. Leverage, inertia, thermodynamics, simple concepts that their own civilization had largely abandoned in favor of energy-based solutions. "This facility serves multiple purposes," the AI explained. "Research, testing, and most importantly, education. You are not the first to underestimate human space, and despite our best efforts, you will not be the last. But you will learn. The screens began showing other pirate vessels, other alien races, all held as easily as they were. Some had technology far beyond even what Reed's crew possessed. All had been defeated by the same simple principles. Humans understand that any system, no matter how advanced, operates under basic physical laws. The AI continued. Your civilization chose to overcome these laws with power. Humans chose to work with them instead. Pike, his sensory tendrils still bearing scars from attempting to hack the station's systems, finally asked the question they'd all been thinking. Why show us all this? Why not just destroy us as an example? The screens changed one final time, showing Earth. Not the primitive world they had imagined, but a planet that had chosen its path deliberately. A civilization that had looked at the galaxy's race toward ever-advancing technology and decided to master the basics instead. Because, the AI replied, humans believe in learning from experience. Your survival and understanding serve their purposes better than your destruction. You will carry this lesson to others. Human space is not restricted because humans are weak. It is restricted because they understand something your people have forgotten. The screens went dark, leaving only one final message glowing in simple text. Complexity invites error. Simplicity breeds reliability. Remember this lesson. It may save your life. Reed and his crew stood in silence, their advanced technology rendered useless, finally understanding that they hadn't been defeated by a superior force. They had been defeated by superior understanding. 3 days later, the Star Razor limped through space, its once proud systems operating at minimal capacity. The station had released them exactly as promised, but not before making a few modifications to their ship. Most of their advanced weapons had been systematically disabled, not through complex computer viruses or energy surges, but through simple mechanical locks that even their best engineers couldn't figure out how to remove. Reed sat in his captain's chair, watching the warning beacon that had been attached to their hull. It was a simple device, powered by their own engine's heat output. The more power they applied to their engines, the brighter it broadcasted their location. They couldn't destroy it without risking hull damage, and they couldn't disable it because it had no electronics to hack. Status report, he called out, his voice lacking its usual commanding tone. Turner worked his 4 arms across the damaged control panels. Main weapons are still locked down. Navigation is functional but limited. The beacon continues to broadcast our location. And, he hesitated, our encounter. The beacon wasn't just marking their location. It was broadcasting a simple, repeating message that any ship could receive. A message about what happened to those who entered restricted human space unprepared. Pike, his damaged tendrils now wrapped in healing gel, looked up from his station. Captain, we're picking up another ship on long-range sensors. It's the Bloodhawk. They're requesting communication. Reed nodded tiredly. The Bloodhawk was another infamous pirate vessel, one they had worked with in the past. Put them through. The screen flickered to life, showing Captain Vale, her scaled face creased with concern. Reed, we picked up your beacon. Is it true? Did you really encounter a human testing facility? Yes. Reed gestured to his battered ship and crew. Everything you've heard in the beacon's message is true. Every word. Vale's expression darkened. But they let you go, just like that. They wanted us to spread the message, to help others understand. Reed pulled up one of the educational sequences the station had given them permission to keep. Look at this. The sequence showed a simple demonstration of how the station had defeated their most advanced shielding technology, using nothing more complex than reflected sunlight focused through precisely shaped mirrors. Vale watched in stunned silence. We're broadcasting this to every pirate haven and free port in the sector, Reed explained. The humans, they want everyone to know. Not to frighten us, but to make us understand. Understand what? Vale asked. That we've all been thinking about this wrong. We've been building bigger weapons, stronger shields, better computers. But the humans, Reed shook his head. They went back to basics. They learned to use simple things in smart ways. Ways we can't counter because we've forgotten how these basic things work. The Bloodhawks crew watched as Reed shared more footage. The mechanical traps, the clockwork robots, the counterweighted doors, all functioning without power, without computers, without any technology that could be hacked or overridden. So that's why human space is restricted, Vale said quietly. Not to protect them from us, but to protect us from ourselves, Reed finished. From our own overconfidence, our own reliance on complex solutions to simple problems. 6 months later, human space remained untouched by pirate raids. The story of the Star Razor spread through the criminal underworld, not as a tale of defeat, but as a warning. Ships would alter course at the first sight of human warning buoys, their captains remembering the beacon's message. In bars and spaceports across the galaxy, pirates shared stories of the strange station that defeated advanced technology with simple machines. Some claimed it was just one of many such facilities, each designed to teach the same lesson in different ways. Reed never returned to piracy. Instead, he found himself teaching at remote outposts, showing others the footage from their encounter, teaching them what he had learned about the elegant simplicity of human engineering. The station continued its work, waiting patiently for the next group of overconfident visitors. Its simple machines turning silently, its mechanical systems operating flawlessly, teaching its lesson to any who dared to underestimate the power of basic principles properly applied. And in human space, engineers continued their work, finding new ways to use old ideas, knowing that sometimes the simplest solution was the best solution. After all, as their AI had said, complexity invites error, but simplicity breeds reliability.